Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I'm so excited. We are doing our monthly check-in with Stephanie Veck from the Colorado Workforce Development Council. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for having us.
Of course. And so this series topic that we have is TalentFOUND, creating the Colorado Talent Pipeline. And so today's topic is kind of exciting, lives empowered through retail careers.
That's right.
Which is something I don't think we think about very often, retail, right?
I think that's true. I think we've done so many shows on so many other industries. We've done shows on manufacturing and healthcare and IT and on. And it's about time we take a look at retail and hospitality.
Absolutely, yeah. Hospitality is definitely my wheelhouse. I've been in that for years.
Right.
I think everyone should have a career in hospitality once in their life.
I agree.
But just a little background to catch those up that aren't familiar with the Colorado Workforce Development Council. It is a governor-appointed business-led coalition of state agencies and their regional and local partners working to align the efforts of workforce and economic development, education and training with the industry's needs to better serve students, job seekers, workers, and businesses throughout Colorado. The CWDC advises the governor and the Colorado legislature on policy matters related to all programs and activities across agencies and partners related to developing and strengthening Colorado's talent pipeline. The vision of the CWDC is that every Colorado business has access to skilled workforce and that every Coloradan has access to meaningful employment, resulting in statewide economic vitality, which we're at an all-time low for unemployment rates, right?
We are. Yeah. We absolutely are. It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
Yep.
So would you like to introduce us to your guest today?
I absolutely will. So I'm super excited to have guests to talk to us today about the retail and hospitality sectors. And so those guests are Tony Anderson, who is the interim executive director and interim director of workforce for the City and County Denver Office of Economic Development. Okay. And I've known Tony for years. He's been in workforce development, really focused on the business engagement side of workforce development for years, and very well respected in the industry across the state. So thank you, Tony, for being here with us.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
And Lynda Campbell is did I say that right? Yes, Lynda Campbell. I don't know why all of a sudden I panicked. Lynda Campbell is the Director of Training and Development for Stonebridge Companies. Stonebridge is a hotel management firm that is based in Colorado but has hotels all over the country. Very involved in the workforce development work that we're doing throughout Colorado. The owner and CEO of Stonebridge is a Bell Commissioner.
Yes.
And very involved. And Lynda is a business champion on the Metro Denver Retail Sector Partnership. And so we have talked about sector partnerships a lot on the show. So I'm really super excited to have a business champion for the Retail Sector Partnership as well as our convener champion for the sector partnership. And we'll get into that in the show in a little bit. But thank you both. And Lynda or Tony, either one, did I leave anything out that you would like to share about your organizations or yourselves?
No, Stonebridge has been in 27 years in Colorado.
Wow.
So we're a long-established, well-established hotel management and development company. So we do our own developments as well as manage properties. So
I believe I've seen your signs around town.
Yeah, you nailed it for me. So Interim Director of Denver Workforce Services. So we work with a number of contracted partners to deliver workforce services in Denver, focus on a lot of the industries that you already mentioned, healthcare, manufacturing, IT. And I agree, it's about time that we start talking about and have started talking about retail and its importance to Denver and Colorado.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, thank you both so much. I really appreciate you being here. And so we have had the opportunity to start really looking at the value of the retail industry in the Metro Denver area as well as the state of Colorado. It's so critically important to Colorado because it is an industry that is in every single community. Your smallest communities are going to have retail and hospitality, and it's so important. But Tony, could you talk a little bit about the value of retail to Denver's economy and why OED has really decided to invest and focus on this industry as a key industry for the city and county of Denver as well as the whole Metro Denver area?
Sure, yeah. I mean, the value of retail to Denver and Colorado as a whole, I think, is encapsulated by just the pure number of jobs that retail offers, right? I was just looking at some stats from the National Retail Federation in Colorado, and there's over 500,000 jobs in the retail sector alone. That is very much mirrors Denver. I mean, obviously, we are lucky enough in Colorado and in Denver to live in a place that people want to come to and spend their money in that industry. And again, just the pure number of jobs and opportunities that the industry offers is reason enough to really focus in on it and make it one of our key industries in Denver, launch a sector partnership, try and look for grant money and other funding to serve and kind of develop that pipeline. So I would say just the impact on numbers of jobs as well as revenue, and then the career pathways that it offers our folks, both entry level and above, to move up within the industry and really carve out a career, are just a few of the reasons that Denver in particular has chosen to focus on retail as one of our key industries.
That's great. Thank you, Tony. And Lynda, from the perspective of a business that's in this sector and really sees, the opportunity to develop people into the industry, within the industry, and even beyond the industry, you're super invested in the partnership and the work. Can you tell us a little bit about why you personally in Stonebridge care so much about this collective work versus just kind of doing your own thing?
Well, I think it's really important in any industry to have great business partners, people that you can learn from. I'm a huge fan of the fast second. Everyone's always thinking of a new idea and trying, and you're like, oh my gosh, we can do that. Yep. So it's a great place to trade professional secrets, so to speak, in an honest and open environment. It's also just been a great way to meet and connect with other partners outside of the sector, but work with the sector to help find talent and develop talent. I mean, finding talent pipelines today is probably the #1 goal of any business in any industry out there. So by being at the retail sector, I've been able to make great connections with people in Denver Public Schools, Jefferson County Schools, working really closely with their programs with youth that maybe are not necessarily college bound, but have ambition and desire to do well and grow in their careers. I've worked really closely with the Center for Family Opportunity, another Denver supported group that has families with that are maybe new to the country or new to Colorado, that are looking for careers and opportunities. And retail and hospitality both are probably 2 careers out there that truly do offer endless opportunities for growth and development. So committed to internal promotions, so committed to developing our own talent for next. And it's been great to find relationships with people that actually have that pipeline of talent that really want that growth and development and long-term career.
And I would jump in there and add, we talk about industries and training from a workforce development standpoint. I think one of the importance of retail brings is the transferable skills that can be learned on the job in a retail industry. I mean, these are skills that you're going to need in healthcare and IT and manufacturing, and those are, time management and customer service and in some respects cash handling. But I think we said before that at least everybody should have a job in retail at some point in their time in their life, and quite frankly, most of the people I've met have had some experience in retail and have found that from a transferable skills and just a skill foundation, the careers and occupations, even in entry-level retail occupations, just build towards occupations and careers in a lot other industries outside of retail as well.
And I would add too, on top of that, the soft skills, the people skills are invaluable when you work retail and hospitality. It's hands down the best way to get those skills for sure.
Well, and it's also an industry where you actually get hired because you're a person and not a job. So, it's one of those industries too where if you come with soft skills, you come with a desire to learn, you come with friendliness, you come with a love of interaction with people, you are hired for that because that's what we're looking for. We'll teach you how to ring the cash register or to work the computer, the reservation system. We'll teach you how to, set up a table or get ready for a banquet. But if you can come with us with that right desire, that's what retail is looking to hire. We're hiring people still, and so many industries hire jobs. We hire people.
That's great, and it is so important. One of my favorite questions for guests on the show is, what was your career pathway? And to get people to understand that absolutely the traditional education pathway of high school to college to career is a very valuable pathway, but it is not the only pathway. And in fact, that direct pathway only works for about 25% of our population.
It's not a guarantee.
It isn't. And so many people do something else or do something even while they're going to school. And so I always ask everybody, what was your pathway? And so often it is in retail. And, my very first job was working as a courtesy clerk at carry out at a city market, a Kroger store, and working all the way through. There's also a real misperception, I think, of jobs in retail in that they are dead-end jobs or they're entry-level only. And in fact, there are some really great career pathways into and through retail that can get you on a path to even, into sales and marketing and management and so many important careers. And that's why we're talking about lives empowered through retail, is that it isn't, yes, that first job where you get those soft skills, you get confidence, you prove yourself. That's critically important. But there are real career pathways in retail and through retail. And a lot of that is the work that you guys are doing through the Retail Sector Partnership. And so first, would one of you describe, when we say retail, most people think retail means a store where you walk in a store, you buy something, that's retail. Really, your definition of retail and the definition of the national organizations is much broader than that.
It is, absolutely. I mean, for us, retail certainly is traditional storefront retail, but it also includes food and beverage, also includes hospitality, and then supporting occupations to the retail industry, which you alluded to. I have to stop and tell a personal story because to me, it's an absolutely perfect example of the retail industry and what it allows. So my wife did not finish college. She started as a part-time sales representative. I won't name the chain, but did that for a short time, moved into a full-time sales representative position, moved into an assistant manager position, into a store manager position, was recruited, and now works for one of the largest loyalty and data companies in the entire nation. She is a regional team leader and owns the whole West Coast and runs the loyalty program for 2 national companies. The beauty of that is she was able to do that in a very short amount of time. Retail, along with other industries, but I would say retail in particular, allows a kind of a rapid, fast-paced career advancement for the people that really excel and put in the work. It really allows you, regardless of kind of your educational background, to get in, do the work, and move up fast. So I wanted to jump in there. It's so near and dear to my heart when we talk about retail, career pathways, and other ways for people to get to really high-wage jobs. My wife is just such a perfect example to that. So I just echo what you say as far as career pathways and those sorts of things as well.
Well, it's one of the few industries, too, right, that will allow you to move up without forcing you to have that degree. It's not part of their needs, right? The requirements, which is really nice.
I mean, retail's, certainly an education. I would always encourage someone to further their education. Yes. My story is so much similar. I was an English major, was going to be a teacher, was working to pay for my college by working in retail. By the time I was ready to graduate, I'm like, okay, I could go be a teacher for, this much money, or I could make already this $5,000 more than I'm already making and stay in retail. Yeah. I went from a department manager to 6 years later as a regional vice president. Yeah. So it's definitely a career with endless opportunities. And you're so right about, Stephanie, about all the different venues you can go, because if you're an artistic person, there's room for you in retail and visual and merchandising. If you're a math person, all retail and hospitality is, quite honestly, is math. Yep. All we do is figure out how much money do we make on that, how much more can we make on that, and how much can we sell. So, I mean, if you're a math person, it's there. There's accounting and finance. It's extremely huge industries in retail. And I don't think people think about all of those things when they first enter it. And then if you just love customer service, guess what? There's customer service all the way up to the CEO of a company.
Exactly.
So it's fairly diverse and offers so many opportunities and gets a bad rap.
It does.
For the most part.
It does. I appreciate both of you speaking to the speed at which a person can move up within. I think it's just up to you as an individual.
It is.
I mentioned I started in retail as a carryout. I ended up becoming a department manager. I ended up being kind of an assistant manager, trained in all of the different departments, and then went into a hotel and became the director of sales and marketing. So before I ever graduated from college with my marketing and business degree, I was already the director of sales and marketing at a hotel chain in town. And all of that just happened because I was able to prove myself and apply myself and demonstrate that I wanted to work hard. And I think that those opportunities are there. And I agree. I would never tell someone, don't go get a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it can be, and when you're ready, go get your college degree.
Right.
And it doesn't, it's for me, because I did work so much, it took me 6 years to get my degree. That's okay. I graduated with no debt because I worked the entire time.
And
Exactly.
while you're going to college, retail, I think, offers such a wonderful opportunity to gain skills, gain experience through flexible hours, part-time offerings, different hours, those sorts of things. So I would agree with all of that, and I would say while you're looking at secondary education, retail offers a way to build some skills and experience.
Yeah, and one of the few industries that, quite honestly, is extremely supportive of that continued education, and will actually also work with you around your schedule. Your schedule, there's no 9 to 5 in retail.
Right.
So it's one of the industries where you say, gosh, I need to go to school at night. Okay, work this day. I need to go to school in the day. Okay, work this day.
Right.
It's really allows that flexibility, and instead of being visioned as an industry that has long hours and terrible schedules, I like to vision it as an opportunity that with lots of time to work and really flexible schedules.
Exactly.
And it allows you to do those different things in your life where most industries don't.
Well, and I've been in the hospitality industry for a long time, and one of my favorite things is that I work weekends. So if I want to go skiing or if I want to go grocery shopping,
too, I loved it.
noon on a Tuesday is fantastic. You can go do that.
I loved my Wednesdays off. I could get so much accomplished.
Exactly, and everything's open. You can actually do doctor's appointments and visit the DMV.
Yep.
I'm all about that life.
And it's also a great opportunity for families with children.
Yes.
We can be really work around your personal work-life balance, where it sounds funny because it's long hours and you work hard, but it's also flexible enough to you can get that actual work-life balance, which again, a lot of industries don't allow. And absolutely retail allows that and is really supportive of family, because retail as a group and hospitality, when you actually get into the industry and work, those teams are families.
Right.
They're much different than your corporate office environment. Those teams in the stores and in those hotels are truly families and supportive of each other. So not only do they understand, but they encourage you to do the right things to get that balance.
That's so true. Some of my best friends are the people that I worked with in my first jobs in retail. Still, 35 years later, still some of my best friends.
Yeah.
It's true. So let's talk a little bit. It's great to talk about the industry as a whole, but let's talk a little bit about the Metro Denver Retail Sector Partnership. Tony, why you guys chose to launch this partnership and the partnership with business and truly driving this partnership, what that looks like, and the benefits that you guys have seen since you formed that partnership 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was just over 2 years ago. So you teed it up earlier for me. I come from a background of industry and business services from the workforce development standpoint, and for me, sector partnership is workforce utopia. It's the model that we should all be pushing for because it's industry-led. I mean, you hear us talk about being industry-led. Well, sector partnerships allow us to be industry-led, right? Sector partnerships being that you guys are familiar with, a collection of employers at the center of the table discussing what are the barriers for growth. Workforce, of course, is always one of the first things out of their mouth. So as workforce development professionals, we're eager to be a part of those sector partnerships and launch those sector partnerships, because ultimately they guide and should guide what we offer as far as training for participants with the industry. Sector partnerships allow us to be proactive in a way that we're not able to be otherwise from a workforce development standpoint. I mean, there's certainly value to seeing what are the open jobs now and what are the training and opportunities people need to get those jobs now. But I would argue there's even more benefit to knowing what those jobs are going to be 6 months from now, and what we can be doing to prepare people so they are ready once those talent opportunities and those job opportunities open up. And again, I think the sector partnership model for workforce development, and that's just for workforce development, I mean, it offers additional guidance for other resources that we're trying to provide businesses. But again, having employers at the table, employers like Lynda, who are bought in and who have a stake in the game of building a talent pipeline, again, is where we're trying to go, not just with retail, but with healthcare, with IT, with manufacturing, and with construction, with our key industries. It just really allows for immediate employer feedback into what we're trying to do workforce development-wise.
And I think just even it's like that connecting that professional relationship between industries and between businesses. And again, because we are retail and we all have such vast needs and such long shifts and hours, we found great partnerships. We've worked really closely with Elitch Gardens, who brought in J1 visa students to do their shifts at the park. We instantly became their second employer and have partnered with them. So we're allowing these students a full income experience while they're here in Colorado. And the partnership between us is like, you need this for this, okay, I need them for that. And it's just been a really great camaraderie. And it's just one example of the relationships that have developed out of the retail sector partnership.
And I would add as well, it's been such a benefit for our local training providers that are in the space of training for retail to have, you know, this sector partnership, this, you know, quasi-advisory board that you can bring these training providers and say, here's what we're training towards, here's the certification it's leading to, is that what you want? You get that conversation going. We've seen programs sprout out because of those conversations. We've seen some training providers alter their curriculum to meet the needs of employers of the sector partnership, and you know, that's just so critical to, again, ensuring that we are relevant as to what training we're sending people to. We're relevant as to what the industry recognized certifications are, and then really allows us to build capacity of those, what I call preferred training providers, right? Because then you have the model of employers in the industry, you're bringing training providers that they're vetting their curriculum, and then Workforce's piece of this is to find the people that want this training, to send them to the training and to support them in the training. And then once they come out of the training, well, where are they going to get employed? Well, there's your group of employers right now that told you that we want people trained here. We put people training, we immediately go, which is a benefit to the employers in that sector partnership as being the beneficiaries of new training pipelines coming out of exactly what they're telling us we need. So when I say workforce utopia, it's industry-led with preferred training providers that industry vet, that are training to curriculum that industry signs off on, and then workforce stepping in to support that, to find the people, to pipeline folks in there, and then really to convene and make those connections. And to me, I've never seen a better model to do that outside of the sector partnership. And I will just give Stephanie so much credit. We've been talking sector partnerships for almost as long as I've been in workforce development, which has been many years, for the council and Stephanie to have the foresight to see that this is the model that will move Colorado forward. I just give all the credit to that group, because it really has been, at least in Denver, a model that we live by and continue to try and build in other industries.
Well, and I will just confirm what you're saying, Tony, is being in a retail industry all my career, I hate to even tell you how many years that is, 30 plus years. I've worked in many different communities, whether in New York State or in the Midwest and Georgia. I've worked in California, and this has probably been the first time I've ever experienced a community-supported group where I actually made valuable connections that actually turned into tangible results. In so many other communities, you think about where could I find this, or where could I find that, or what could I do? And there's no way to find that easy pathway to get there. Yeah. So there's availability, it's out there, you just don't know how to get to it. Right. The retail sector partnership allows getting to it really to become very easy, because we're all at the table, we're all right there talking, and so, oh my gosh, that works for me, and you can make those really quick relationships, so it doesn't get something that's put on the back burner or that you forget about or that you wish you had. It actually becomes something that's in front of you and tangible and real.
That is awesome. Thank you. And thank you for the compliment, Tony. I would throw it back that I do think that the state embracing sector partnerships as the model that we would provide technical assistance and resources to the local communities to be able to build industry-led sector partnerships was a critical role. But having partners like the Denver Workforce Center really embracing the model, understanding that it doesn't work if business isn't at the center of the table, and being willing to empower business to lead and follow. The way you laid out what sector partnerships do are just, it warmed my heart. I'm like, I'm going to just put him on loop and play it over and over again. It was perfect. But your leadership in the sector partnerships that Denver has launched are a model for the way the country can convene businesses and work with businesses for a multitude of issues that businesses have, but absolutely for the workforce development issues that we all want to collaborate on. So thank you so much for everything Denver's done. We appreciate that. And so in the next segment, we're going to dig into some of the issues that the sector partnership has identified, some of the challenges that retail is facing, as we were talking about, super low unemployment rates make it tough, and then some innovative solutions.
Yeah, so we'll be right back. Stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate, and like and subscribe our YouTube page. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. Once again, I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I'm so excited. We've been having such a great conversation here with Stephanie Veck from the Colorado Workforce Development Council and her series, TalentFOUND, Creating the Colorado Talent Pipeline. And once again, just to reiterate here, the vision of the CWDC is that every Colorado business has access to a skilled workforce and that every Coloradan has access to meaningful employment resulting in statewide economic vitality. And we're showing that today through empowering our lives empowered through retail careers, right?
Right, exactly.
One sector we haven't touched on, so this is a very exciting conversation for me. I'm excited.
It is exciting. And so in again, our guests, Tony Anderson with the Workforce Division of the Denver Office of Economic Development, and Lynda Campbell with Stonebridge Companies and a business partner in the Metro Denver Retail Sector Partnership. Thank you both for being with us today. So in the last segment, we were really talking about the value of retail to the metro area, but the entire state of Colorado and really the country. We were talking about the really good jobs that exist to not only give somebody their first entry-level job, but really good career paths in retail and the flexibility and the opportunities that are offered through retail. And we started talking a little bit about the value of a sector partnership in bringing businesses together to identify the shared challenges that they have and things that they could solve better together than alone. And so let's talk a little bit about what those challenges are. I mean, obviously with ridiculously low unemployment and it getting harder and harder to recruit workers and to retain workers, it's a challenge in all industries. But what are some of the challenges that you've really tackled through the sector partnership and that you see that you've been working on together?
Well, for retail now, in today's environment, certainly with the low unemployment, I see the national unemployment's down to 3.8%, which is non-existent, basically. Right. Even when unemployment is higher, retail always has a ferocious need for talent. So hospitality and retail always are looking for talent and need talent. And over time, it's hard to find that sort of creative pipeline. Where can I go on a regular basis and know that there's candidates that are excited and wanting to work? The retail sector partnership has allowed us to make those kind of contacts, not only with each other where we maybe share an employee, somebody's going to work in food and beverage during the day and they're going to work in hospitality at night, or vice versa in retail. So whether it's a shared employee or whether it's finding completely new pipelines, community centers out there that are helping people learn English and learn computer skills, that have people that want to go to work that maybe just haven't entered the workforce either ever or in a long time, or finding charitable organizations that maybe are helping support unwed mothers. So the Crittenden Foundation is another connection that I've made through that, where you can help those people get into the job and work with them around their schedule. So it allows us to find those creative means to find pipelines of talent, because today, tomorrow, and in the future, there'll be a ferocious need for that talent. And where can I find somebody that really has that desire and really wants to work and wants to be given also a chance to work?
Yeah, and I'll echo that. Obviously, Lynda speaking from the voice of an employer here, but what we've heard from just kind of the general number of employers that we've asked that same question to, it really kind of boils down into three buckets. So challenges with recruitment of a qualified and skilled workforce, retention of skilled employees, and then training and upskilling of their current workforce, right? So it seems like that's a common theme as we talk to employers, certainly outside of retail as well, but specific to retail, is the recruitment, retention, and then moving folks and upskilling them so they can move along the career pathways.
That's great. And so through the sector partnership, you all have created some really innovative solutions. One of the opportunities that was offered to the sector partnership, I think because of the leadership that Denver has had, was to be part of a national grant for retail. Tony, can you talk a little bit about that grant and how you used it to empower some of the work that the sector partnership was wanting to do?
Yeah, I mean, we've had our eyes on retail as far as a key industry for many years in Denver, obviously for the reasons we talked about in segment one. It is a key industry. But from a funding standpoint, we haven't had the opportunity from a funding perspective to fund the amount of retail training that we want, right? In an era of declining federal funds year over year, we have a lot of industries in Denver that need these same things, a trained and qualified workforce. So for us, we did I would say, considerable amount of retail training, but it was kind of more one-off and not, a focused effort. These dollars from the Walmart Foundation through this Reimagine Retail grant that we applied for has allowed us to do just that, really set aside a specific amount of training funds for retail so we could actually focus on retail. So that's was really the catalyst behind us going after or proposing a grant application for the Walmart Foundation for what has become Reimagine Retail, was just the identification that retail is a key industry and we haven't been able to focus on it from a funding standpoint. So that led us to apply for the grant. Thrilled to be awarded the grant, and once we received the funding, we really tried to be thoughtful on how we want to deploy these funds. And again, for all the reasons we talked about in segment 1, sector partnerships are a model that Denver really believes in. And with the ability and access to funding for retail, it made sense to launch a sector partnership in combination with the grant award, right? So for us, it was, we have some dollars. What is the best way to spend those dollars? Well, the answer to that is ask industry. And so that was the impetus behind launching the sector partnership. So that was really one of the first things that we put together once we were awarded those dollars, was that launching of the sector partnership, where we could really start getting down to employers, let us know what are your challenges and what are the best ways for us to address those.
That's great. And I just want to, Alex, let everybody know that there were 10 sub-recipients in different cities around the country for this grant, and Denver was in the top 2 for the highest performing sub-grant recipients, and identified later by the Walmart Foundation that it was the sector model that really helped empower that. So the 2 top performers were the only 2 of the 10 that really embraced a sector strategy.
And I think one of the reasons that's successful is even when you have ample funding and you have an industry that you're targeting in. We were finding a few years back that in healthcare, we would train 100 people in 85 different occupations. So then you weren't necessarily really impacting a talent pipeline from an employer. I mean, you were in a one-off standpoint, but the sector partnership has allowed us to identify, top 5, top 10 key occupations, identify training providers that are really training well for those occupations, and then pipeline people into these training cohorts, right? It's a different way of doing workforce services, where kind of the old way to do it is you would have a number of different people walk in and tell you what they want trained in, and that would be a number of different occupations. The other way to do it is to say, here's what we're offering training in, no cost training, and then recruit people to the training, which then kind of feeds a pipeline of occupations for the employers, which are giving you guidance as to what that training should be. That's
awesome. And being rewarded for all of that great work with a 2-year extension to that funding. And so, Lynda, can you share an example of where this has actually played out and benefited businesses as well as individuals?
Well, we recently, through our AHLA, the American Hospitality and Lodging Association, they rolled out a registered apprentice program. When we heard about it at Stonebridge, we were like, okay, and especially me, because I'm the director of training, I love this idea. Vetted it out, figured out all the things we had to do, and then actually went to the retail sector partnership and said, okay, we want to do this. Is there, how can you help us do this? Because it is extremely intensive in what the requirement is for training and development to meet the federal standards, the DOL standards for the registered apprentice program. Through the retail sector partnership, we were able to get their support and help us do this on-the-job training for our teams, which was hundreds of hours, thousands actually, of hours. But with their support, we were able to roll out this program. We were able to enter 10 of our incumbent workers into a registered apprentice program. So far, we've had 3 graduate, complete the program, move on to advanced careers in hospitality. So when we talk about that second thing about how do you evolve those training skills of the teams that you currently have, keep them engaged, keep them retained, this was a great way to utilize the program to help us do that. So we have a formal registered apprentice program. We are focusing really internally on, gosh, you work for us, you're committed to us, we're committed to you, we're going to help you advance your career and learn all of these skills that, quite honestly, you wouldn't necessarily learn without a structured program around it, and to be able to have the financial support to do that, and really help pay that into our team's growth and development has been amazing. And with the extension, we'll look to roll out another 10 to 15 in the fall of this year back into the program again.
That is incredible. So a total of 25 to maybe even 30 apprentices.
Well, actually, I've had all of this. I mean, it's 130 hours of related training instruction, and then over 2,000 hours of on-the-job training to learn all these different skills throughout the hotel.
Yeah.
So you get to shadow your GM for a week that you wouldn't really get to do if you weren't part of this program.
Right. And so what are some of the advanced occupations that people are ending up in after they graduate from their apprenticeship?
We had a front desk supervisor become a front desk manager, front office manager. We had a maintenance attendant now become a chief engineer.
Wow.
I'm so proud of my little chief engineer. He scored the highest. They all earned their certified hospitality supervisor certificate during this program as well. My little engineer was the highest scoring. I'm so proud of him. And we had a restaurant supervisor become a F&B manager.
That's wonderful.
So they're moving really into much, jumping almost a position to next by having had this additional training.
That is fantastic.
And one of the pain points I've heard from employers too is employees kind of moving from one employer to the next. And I think what Lynda and Stonebridge have done with apprenticeship speaks so much to that, right? Speaks to the retention and speaks to people feeling invested in the current company that they're working for through a structured program that shows that they're investing in their talent and skill development. I mean, I think it does a number of things, but for retention, I just such a great program that you all have developed.
Well, and I think it just, it really puts it other people are aspiring now to be this. So it sees like, gosh, they got to do this, and look what happened. So not only are you doing retention for the team that you're investing in, everybody else around there is thinking, oh, hey, maybe this is a long-term career. And it puts validity, puts some teeth into the fact that, yes, we believe in internal promotion. All right, here's some teeth into it. We're internally promoting. We believe in talent and development. Oh, my gosh, here's really a commitment to talent and development. So, I think as a general rule, and we all say it, and they're all the right words, right? We want to internally promote. We want to train and develop you. But sometimes it's really hard to get that into a tangible execution.
Right.
And this program, certainly with the support of the Walmart Foundation, has allowed us to actually make it real.
That's amazing. That's really great. Thank you so much. So we've talked a lot about the value to businesses to get engaged with the sector partnership. If there are businesses in the Metro Denver area who are not already engaged in the retail sector partnership, how would they go about getting connected and getting engaged and partnering in the partnership?
Yeah, I would say a quick email to denverworkforce@denvergov.org would do the trick, or our website, www.denvergov.org/workforce. They can get connected one of those two ways. Would be the quickest way to do that, and then we'll get you in touch with the team, a wonderful team that's working specifically on this.
And in addition, so if there are others that are listening outside of the retail and hospitality industry, you also have 4 other sector partnerships that you champion that the same contact information can connect people in other industries as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We have active sector partnerships. We have our Metro Denver Construction Partnership. We have our Greater Metro Denver Healthcare Partnership. We have our Metro Manufacturing Partnership. And then we're looking at launching a couple more in the year to come. We've got our eye on early childhood workforce development that's coming on board as well. So again, as industries kind of raise up as key industries in Denver, you can believe that we're going to be trying to convene employers and launch sector partnerships around them.
That's great. And so what if a person's listening and they think retail might be the right career for them, or they want to learn how they might advance in their current retail career? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I'm a little biased. I would say contact your workforce center, right? I mean, come to Denver Workforce Centers in the ways that you can contact. Again, website, easiest way, denvergov.org/workforce. It'll get you access points into that. But again, a little biased, but that's what we're there for, right? We have industry experts in all industries, retail included, that can tell you here's what a career pathway might look at. And first of all, what they would do is let's look at where you've been, what skills you have, where you want to go, and really have have that in-depth conversation as to what industry is right for you, what occupation might be right for you, and then from there you can really start doing some planning. And then we have, through our sector partnerships and through our employer-led initiatives, some real tangible career pathway information, preferred trainers. We can really get you set up with an individualized career plan that will get you on the right track.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And go ahead.
And to throw my own pitch, you can also go to sbcos.com and click on careers and join our team. And you get a lot of information about the company. But I would just say anybody who's never had a job in retail, and if you love people and you love to be active and you like your days to fly by fast at work, I would really highly recommend that you consider retail as a career.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it is. We talked about the unprecedented unemployment rate right now. I mean, it's if at any time it's a job seekers market right now. So if you've ever thought about switching careers or going into training and worried about opportunities there on the back end, I can tell you right now there's no better time to do it. We have employers. It's so interesting. I started in workforce development in 2008 at the height of the recession, and it was completely the opposite issue that we were facing from a workforce development standpoint. We had, hundreds of people lined up for, one or two opportunities, and it's completely switched in the opposite. Now we have hundreds of employers lined up for, few people. So I would tell job seekers, get connected, get informed as far as what path you want to take with your career, and just, move forward and do it and get assistance in doing that. Access the information that's out there to you, because it absolutely is a job seekers market like never before.
Right.
And the thing that I would add is that we are at an all-time low in unemployment rate. But one thing that still stays a little high is our percentage of people who are in our labor market. So it seems kind of strange. It's like we have very low unemployment, but there's still a pretty high percentage of people who are choosing not to be in the labor market. And that might be because they're entrepreneurs, they're doing their own business, so they don't show up as a typical employee. But I think there are also a lot of people out there that got burned, and they're just, it's maybe I'm better off to just stay home and take care of my kids instead of have a job and worry about daycare or whatever number of things. Or maybe I'm bored at home, but I'm not really ready to go back out there again. And these are some really good jobs that could help people ease back into the labor market if they haven't been in the labor market for a while.
And they're fun jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, retail and hospitality, food and beverage, these are fun jobs. You spend more time laughing and talking and meeting interesting people than we do anything else. Yeah. So it's not, and they're not, yes, they're hard work. Yes, you're on your feet. But at the end of the day, days go by quickly. You meet the most interesting people from so many places, especially in hospitality. And the jobs are fun. So, yeah, you work hard, but it was fun. So it's not the same. It's not, you didn't come home stressed or worn out. Came home with a smile on your face, telling stories to your family about all the interesting things you saw and did and heard while you were at work during the day.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's a must for workforce development in the line of business I'm in is to try and reach out to those individuals that might have been disconnected, that have not been connected back, because quite frankly we have to do that, right? We have to find talent in places where we might not have looked before, and those folks that have been disengaged from the labor market is one way to go. And then also we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but those folks that maybe that are underemployed, right, that are working 3 jobs to try and make ends meet. I would just say again, now it's such a great time with guidance and information to try and consolidate those 3 jobs into one that can lead to an actual career and a career pathway.
Right.
And again, through sector partnerships, the work of workforce services in Denver and across the state, there's information available to those job seekers that might be looking back to connect. So I would say to those folks, take the first step, engage with one of your workforce centers, and we can get you going on the right direction.
That's awesome. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate that.
So I understand that the state of Colorado just submitted a proposal to the Walmart Foundation for expansion of the work across the state. This doesn't seem like a typical way that philanthropy should work, is it?
It's definitely not a typical way that philanthropy does typically work.
Yeah.
We had a really great opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, the foundation was very pleased with the work that the Denver Sector Partnership had done with the Reimagine Retail Grant. They also knew that they wanted to invest differently, and they were interested in potentially thinking about how to expand on some of their commitments to workforce development. So they came to Colorado. They visited with my team and Tony's team and asked us a lot of questions about why things are working and really learned about sector partnerships, career pathways, and came in with the idea of tell us what you're doing and we'll go find a nonprofit that we'll give a grant to that'll do this work. And so they met with my team, they met with Tony's team, and they came back and said, holy cow, you guys have this figured out. The sector partnerships are real. Career pathways are real. The business engagement is real. And we want to work with you to think differently about how we do workforce development through our grants. So for the first time ever, they are giving a government entity the grant to be responsible for the grant. So the CWDC is the applicant to the grant. The funds will come directly to us to allow us to partner with Denver to take all of the work that Denver's done and package that in a way that it can be replicated and scaled across the entire state. Yeah. Our goal is to create up to 10 new retail sector partnerships across the state to be able to package these great programs like Lynda mentioned and share those across the state with the businesses that are sitting at those partnerships. And then at the same time to grow the retail sector partnerships and the retail career pathways in Colorado, but also to create a step-by-step guide that can be duplicated across the nation. And so this will be the first time they're giving a grant to a government entity instead of a fiscal agent. It'll be the first time that they're giving a grant for statewide expansion versus national expansion or multi-state. It's one solid state, the entire state. And then it'll also be the first time that they've really invested in a focus on incumbent worker training. So the coming in is always important, and that's what most people give grants to. They're really interested in what we can do with the incumbent worker training. So it's exciting. We're honored to get to work with Denver in doing that. And I guess, Tony, I would just ask you, so you are expanding your current work through a 2-year extension of your first grant, and then you partnered with us to submit the second grant that hopefully we'll hear about soon. But what was your takeaway when we met with them and the work we've done to build Lives Empowered?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I was excited that they thought we did a good job, right? You know, sometimes we're in our state and we're doing things what we think we're doing it well, and we think we're national leaders. So to have someone at the status of the Walmart Foundation come and say, "Wow, you're doing it well, and you are a national leader," I would say that was really humbling. And then, you know, just the opportunity to do more of this is just something that I'm so thrilled about. Again, retail sometimes gets to be a lost industry for a number of reasons, and this continued support from the Walmart Foundation does two things. Again, it reiterates that we're doing a good job, and it allows us to do more of it. So two things that really got me excited as I was walking out of that meeting with Stephanie and crew.
That's great.
That is great. So when are you going to find out about this grant?
We know that they're reviewing the grant. The final grant application was submitted May 25th. They're reviewing it right now. We're hoping we'll hear by the end of June, and we'll be able to launch in July. So that'll be really exciting.
And for us, you know, it's more of what we're doing from the training standpoint, but what I'm even more excited about is on the sector partnership side. Again, Colorado is just a national leader in sector partnership, and this application and the opportunity to potentially get this funding will allow us to just do more of that. And I know I've talked to a lot of my colleagues in some of the other local areas across the state, and they're in a position where we're at, that, you know, we'd really like to focus on retail. Our declining dollars don't allow us to put a lot of focus in that. So, you know, this funding, this sector partnership support really puts a focus on and a spotlight on one of the major industries in Colorado, quite frankly.
And I just have to say I've been so impressed with the Walmart Foundation and their ingenuity and their innovation. And the really cool part about this is Walmart used to be really, really careful that if they gave a grant, they weren't at the table because they didn't want to look like they were, you know, just funding their own advancement. And one of the things we said is, no, we don't believe you can't just write a check. We will not accept money from you if you're just going to give us a check. We want you sitting at the table being a part of the solution. Mm-hmm. And they kind of looked at us kind of funny and said, okay. So we're engaging not only with the foundation, but also the corporation, so that they're sitting side by side with the other business leaders across the state, helping identify the issues and develop the solution. So we're excited about that as well.
That is very exciting. Thank you all so much for joining us today on Connect and Collaborate. It's been my pleasure. Check out this podcast and more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. Have a great day.